Hey, look at the little camera. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, my name is Callum from DX Commander. Now, Nigel and I were talking. He said, "What do you want to do your talk on?" And I used to do a lot of club talks, on either visiting if it was local, or on the Zoom, WebEx, whatever. And I kind of ran out of topics really. I thought, I've done it all over and over again. But I think it was Nigel who said, "Well, why not talk us through, your antenna field?" And so I've expanded it a little bit. I spent half an hour today just taking some video actually, and I just put it into a bit of a collage because still pictures are all very well. Depends what a name is, I suppose. But by the way, don't go on mute, because if you do want to laugh, I want to hear it, right? So I'll start. I can press a button here. I'll just start with the field, because originally the field was half this size. You can probably see there's a kind of a line down the middle where the fence stops, and that's the pole on the left-hand side where I'm standing by. That was the original kind of antenna field, and I've got 12-meter long 32 radials there. Wow. So I'll just pause it there. And they just, and radials bury themselves, by the way. They don't, in this country they do. You pin them down, they are gone, the dogs can play and everything else. So that's been my kind of test bed and where most of my work's been done. And then it was about 6 months ago, I got the landlord to take the fence down, move 50, 60 tons of earth, flatten it off and seed it. I didn't know he was going to seed it, but it's come out really well. On the right-hand side, I'll take you inside and we'll work our way back, but I just want to give you an overview now. So that is there's a rotator and a mast. It's 45 feet. The bloody wind's caught it. You see that Yagi is on a skew whiff.
Oh yeah.
Obviously didn't tighten up the bolts properly. But that I can raise and lower by hand on a pulley. Yeah, I'll explain how that works. And then surrounding the mast, very, very accurately, are 4 40-meter antennas, and that's on a switch. So that's a 4 square going around the outside, which is not connected yet, because in my world, nothing is finished. Because, it isn't. That 45 feet on a 100 pounds worth of bits at the top. That works fantastic on 20 meters. That's currently, and I am putting a quad up there in the end. So I've only just edited this. Can't remember what it is. And then Yaesu do these rotator bearings. So the rotator is right at the bottom. The whole mast turns around, and it's guide. But we'll come to that in a minute. I did a whole YouTube series on this. Anyway, I think that is the field. Do we now go inside, or do I stay here? Oh yeah. So we've got guide points here. So all the little things I'm going to discuss tonight, the idea is it was going to give you many bits of inspiration, like, I could use that bit, or I could use that bit. So if you walk past a scaffold, they're putting scaffolding up. Hang on, my heater's on. I'm going to turn it off. And I tried this out. I said to the scaffolder, I said, "Hey, you got any scaffold poles, mate?" And he said, "Yeah, how many do you want?" So, just the one. What, 20 quid? He went, "Yeah, sure." All right. No, I am not suggesting. I mean, he might be stealing. Maybe you're in danger of managing stolen parts. But anyway, you could either put it on the roof rack and drive it home. The scaffolding poles are really heavy. I cut mine to about 1.2 meters long. I dig a hole, stick it in the ground with a bag of postcrete or whatever, and fill it all back in, and drill holes in them. And before you know it, it's turned into a really nice guide point. So there's one of the 40-meter verticals. So they are very, very accurately placed all the way around that mast. And the mast has a fiberglass insulator in the middle, so it is to try and take it away from the 40 meter band. I haven't even got coax going out there yet, but there we are. So there's the 12.4, so that's 80 through to 10. It does 6 and 2 and 70 and all that, but frankly, not very good, because you want something on your loft, you know, for something off the chimney. So that's it there. And again, all those radials are out. That works great. And then I'm walking towards this antenna, which is just a little prototypey thingy. It's a 12.4 meter antenna. It's got 3 elements, and I'm going to stop there. 3 elements, and they have 3 shared radials. The radials are roughly the right size for the 12 meter band. So the 10 meter element needs to be shorter than it should be, and the 15 element needs to be a little bit longer than it needs to be. And they just go up. In fact, that needs a bit of maintenance. Everything's fallen out of tune because that's a parts bin special. I have had that on an 18 meter pole, and just a quarter wave high enough just is insane. I mean, that was like 2 wavelengths, but you couldn't get a 40 meter vertical at 80 meters height. Be a little bit difficult. So anyway, so that works quite well. And then I can press a button on my drone and tell it to spin around. Look at that Yagi. Got to stop there. The wind's taking it. 3, 2, 1. So that Yagi should be flat. So I'll drop that down, and if you can see this, if you can't see it, so there we are. Right, so that's my sort of Skylab tri-bander thing, and you can see the 15 meter element's gone all wibbly wobbly. Something's up with this. I'll drop it down. It's a 10-minute job, but I haven't had 10 minutes in the last 3 months. And again, my scaffold poles, drill a hole, put some hooks in it and stuff. Before you know it, you've got a fantastic guy point. I mean, couldn't really do that. Oh, and I've got a 4-to-1 balun on a delta loop, which is very low to the ground, and that just works lovely. That's how low it is. All right, I think we're going to go inside. So this is my main kind of mess. Hang on, I can hear noises. Oh, it's me. Playing on the video. So we've got a 990 in the middle, a 9700 on the right hand side, and some toys. So this is where I do my kind of, you know, what I used to do, the Fly Ride live streams. HF amplifier, ACOM 2000, that's its control head there. And then that is a bandpass filter with a rotator on top, because we're currently just about to build a second station so we can have 2 people at once at the same time. That it's going there. And I've got another TS 990 coming tomorrow. Actually, as a friend of mine bought it about 10 years ago. It's had about 1 hour use, and I wanted another 990. They've stopped making them. So he's bringing it down tomorrow. In fact, we're driving down to Martin Lynch because he owns a company and he's managed to wing, what's the big ICOM 7760? Is it the big one with the nail on front panel that you can take on and off? And a pair of ACOM 2020Ss. So I'm getting the 990 and another HF amplifier tomorrow. So all that's going in here. So I've got a ton of work to do there, because that's station 3, which currently is just sitting there. That's my 12-volt station. I've got a ton of batteries underneath, 2 80 amps and a couple of 50 amp batteries sitting there with a TS590 and a HL700B amplifier, which is well, about 700 watts, 12 volts. So you need a car battery, really, unless you want to spend a fortune on a 12-volt power supply. And you can see the other bandpass filters ready there. And James has built a couple of automated boxes out the back of the 990. So if you go to 20 meter band, the bandpass filter will automatically switch to 20 meter. And then we've got something called a PTT lockout that will go in sometime next week, because I've got a toy I'm about to show you if we transmit and press the button at the same time, we'd fry it. So as you know, underneath your shack, I mean, I've tried to keep my cables down to a minimum, but it still seems to get flooded with stuff. All those cables go through a little bit of trunking just to keep it off the floor down to here. I've got 3 internet out to the field. I only need the 1, but we pull 3 at a time. And then a little cabinet there. All that cabinet has got in it is a hole in the wall to the other side. And where everything comes out. So the really big, thick coax, the left and right-hand side that go up and curl down, they go into a tube 42 meters away. So that's EcoFlex 15. And then we've got a couple of Aircell 7 or Messi and Poloni 7mm type cable. Just for backups and receive and things like that. But the 2 main transmits are on the left-hand side. They go up because you can't bend them that much. And then the landlord dug a blooming great trench for me all the way from that hole you can see right in the middle of the screen. He put the tube in for me. Get on, Callum. Shut the thing. He still hasn't concreted it in, which is blooming handy because I fancy putting more cables in. And that goes all the way to the antenna field. And it's 42 meters long. We'll cover coax loss in a minute. And I've got 2 other boxes which are forever in a state. So we've got the Genius 8x2. I'll just stop there. Gives you 8 antennas and 2 radios, the left and right. Currently it's configured left VFO and right VFO. I've got a piece of software that comes with the Genius 8x2 that I can select any antenna on my left ear and any antenna on my right ear, but I transmit on the antenna on my left ear. So that's the Genius 8x2, and that's got Ethernet back to the shack, plug it into the router, fire up the software, and it just goes, found it. So there we are. We've got the 3 Ethernets coming out. That's sort of the first 3. One of them doesn't work because I've never fixed it. So there we are. And then just below that, I've got some power and a switch. I put that big black switch in yesterday. It's too big. I can't get it in properly. In fact, I was driving home tonight and I'm thinking to myself, I need like a bicycle storage wooden box. Do you know what I mean? With the big lid on it. And I've put all the stuff in there. I'm going off these metal cabinets because well, as you can see, it's just a bit out of control. So we got 2 of these. The one on the left and the one on the right is just a replica of what you've seen earlier on. So there's the 12.4 in close-up. And that's the one I kind of revert to all the time. It's got my 1840 on it. I'm about to put a coil that's going to be upgraded to an 80-meter pole with 80-meter vertical and a big coil on a relay to go to 160-meter vertical. So there we are. If you know anything about my products, the X-Commander products, I'll give you a close-up of something at the moment, but I've got a ground strap. It goes from the ground plate. I'll just stop there. Top right. So what we've got is a driven plate. I've got all the elements, like a fan dipole. We've got all the elements going up for all the different bands. The coax goes in with a little flying lead. It goes straight up there. And then the coax braid is effectively connected to the ground plate here. And because it's elevated, because I've got this massive hinge, I've got these straps going to this homebrew grounding plate. I could have done it differently, but that's the way I did it at the time. And then I've got all my radials coming off there. Only 32. But, you know, it was Dr. George Brown, I think he works for RCA Labs, who, do you remember, you know that myth? It's not a myth. Everybody says, oh, yeah, verticals need 120 radials. It's not until you get hold of the paper, the original Dr. George Brown paper, he was testing 1/8 wave or less medium wave verticals. And he discovered that really to get the efficiency up on very short verticals, you need 120 radials. But whereas Rudy Sevens and me have demonstrated that on a full quarter wave, anything beyond about 16 radials at the quarter wave or 32 at an eighth wave, you are right at the top of the kind of power curve. What's the point in going much more? So my 160 meter vertical will be eighth wave. So I'm thinking of going for a substantial amount more of radials. I can't do 120 quarter wave, 40 meter radials because that will be slightly more wire than we ever keep in stock. Again, that's on a hinge as well. Can you hear the drone in the background there? Or is it just me?
Just you.
That's fine. Nobody's complaining. Good. Because I got massive. We're in the drone now. That's it. Yeah. And there's another camera picking it up. And when I rendered it out, that's fine. So the idea behind all these is that I just take one. I only guy my verticals in one place. A lot of people guy them all over the place and then wonder why the top snaps. Is because the whole thing couldn't move. Right. Little tip for you. You can see one guy. I undid it. I'll just do that again. Where were we? I think I need a whiskey. So I just walk up to it. It's on a Barenko hinge, and I just drop it over. I mean, it's very easy for maintenance. I normally put a chair there, so the thing just, keep it at waist height, because I'm a bit chubby. I don't like bending down to do my antenna maintenance. What else have we got? So this is the tower thing. So if you go on, if you're interested in building a small tower, like for your field or whatever, I thoroughly recommend it. There's very few people that have actually documented how to build what they call a falling derrick ham radio mast. So this starts roughly last October, and it's all on my YouTube channel. Just do DX Commander tower or mast or something, and you'll be able to follow along, because I did break a few things doing this. So, but that is actually 45 feet. So it's 12 and a half, 13. Oh, tell you what it is. It's about 14 meters, which is pretty cool. I cut a slot in the scaffolding, and so because the whole mast rotates, I've put all the coax straight up. It's funny, when you put a video on YouTube, they all come out of the woodwork. That this should have broken by now several times, by the way, according to a lot of scientists out there. It hasn't for some reason, but obviously I'm completely wrong, or the weather's been really kind to me. Then we go down. That is only a G450 Yaesu rotator. There's no sideways load on it. People couldn't quite understand this. No sides, just vertical downward load, which is a lot in fairness. So that's being upgraded sometime next week to is it the GS 2800? Only for the downward force, right? Because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 12. 12 guys pulling. If you pull down like 20 kilos a piece, before you know it, you're into getting up to 300 kilograms, which is the maximum for the GS 2800. So there we are. And then we've got, that's a falling derrick. This bit going off to the left, when the mast goes down, that will go straight up in the air. That's his own mast. And then we've got a hinge at the bottom. I haven't got a pin through there at the moment. Don't need a pin because it's all held up with the guide. So all that pressure, the downward pressure, is held on that little stainless steel bolt there. And again, that's sunk into the ground. And incidentally, literally, I used a laser leveler where that pin is and where the guy points are exactly in parallel to gravity. Because once I upgrade the rope from cheap lorry rope to Dyneema rope, there's almost zero stretch. So when this thing comes over, the whole thing has got to just be perfect. You only get a 3% stretch on something like a Dyneema cord. So you don't want to overgo that because it will just break. So that's the falling derrick. You can see I've got the 3 Yaesu thrust bearings here. I've got them on. According to the rest of the internet, these are on upside down, the right way up. You shouldn't be using like this and a few other things. It looks as if it's a bit curved there, but I think that's just some sort of weird perspective, unless it's about to fall down. So, genuinely was, yeah. I just looking back how scary this. I'm just walking around a bit now. So at the back end of the falling derrick here, and I'm going to point to this. I put a rope between there to this guy point here, and the same the other side. So when the mast comes up, it can't fall over. That becomes the falling derrick goes up. It can't fall over. You can see a joiner up here on the middle top of your screen. One of those little cheap Barenko. I didn't go overboard because everything's supposed to be guide. So as long as it doesn't fall apart, I'm fine. So what the hell are we looking at now, Callum? I don't know. Oh, that's just what I discovered is that a 6 meter falling derrick wasn't long enough, so I extended it with another one of these joiners for 17 quid or something. Now, I couldn't put this up at the house. Right? Wendy would have had a fit, and so would my neighbours. But I have genuinely put this something. We put 3 of these scaffold poles together at the scout hut. So that was genuinely 60 something foot. And I said to Terry, my acquaintance at the time, we had a spare pole and some more rope knocking around. I said, why don't we put a 4th one on and make it to 80 feet? Okay, so we did that. And it was, all right, we got it up. Rather than a pulley, I would just use my tow ball on the car, just move really slowly. To start with, it doesn't come up very quickly, but as you get near the end of it, it's going really quickly. So you have to almost stop, and then it will just go do, 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 like this. And but when we were taking it down, Terry just took the falling derrick, which was about tummy height, and he went, well, we'll take it down then, shall we? And he must have lifted it about 6 inches. Now, the maths is really, I've worked it out finally what happened, but enough of a shock went in the system that 80 feet of 4 aluminium scaffold poles wound its way down and went everywhere. And it was, well, I ran. So life with an antenna field is never ending, particularly when we've got, well, I'm cutting out some rubber things. We want to buy a robot mower, GPS controlled thing, because in the summer it's £70 a week to have somebody cut that. And my little lawnmower at the house here takes me 2.5 hours to cut this. So what I thought with the robot mower, what we could do is I get these rubber circles, because I'm forever having to strim around these poles. So it's a check. They're upside down, but I found them a bit easier that way. These are checker plate 3mm rubber. Now I don't know, they might corrode. I even took some drone for you guys today. Look at this. Are we near the end of this bloody thing yet? And stop. Right, so shall we have a break?
You have a break if you like. Yeah, have another whiskey.
What was I saying? It's a good night, isn't it? Oh, we're on camera. Hello, love. Right, there's a lot more people on here now. M0TYY.
You've got
The
19.
old call sign I recognise. Anyway, so should we talk coax a minute, because that's quite interesting. So with somewhere around here we've got the oh, there it is, back there. I've got this 45 feet. It would be nice to put 2 meters up there and 70 centimeters. And Justin, in our antennas, about 3 years ago, I said to him, "Hey, Justin, I want a fairly compact 2 and a separate 70 to put in my hydraulic mast. I don't want it more than 3 meters long. And I've got a box up in my little loft in the office, and I still haven't opened it. I have admitted this, by the way, to Justin, that I've completely failed him. And I thought, I could put that up here. But when I measured from all the way from the top of that mast, down the mast, across the field, I won't go through the antenna switch. We'll go directly through the pipe, back up the other side, into the shack, into the back of the 9700. That is something I seem to remember, 97 meters.
Wow.
Right? So now, if I used RG58, I couldn't probably hear myself. But I looked at LDF 450 because somebody has gifted me a reel, 100-meter reel of LDF 450. You can't bend it, right? So we'll never get it through the tube. I spoke to Stefano at Messi and Poloni. He said, "Oh, I've got the Hyper Everything Flex, Berry Flex 13. It's roughly the same spec as EcoFlex 15, which is my main sort of pipes that I use from the shack to the field. And on 2 meters, you'll only be suffering 3 dB. Now, that's actually, for me, when you've got antennas such a long way away from your place, I can cope with 3 dB, particularly if I'm at 45 feet or whatever, if you know what I mean. So, if we, in a domestic house, I mean, let's face it, when I used to operate from here where I am now, frankly, I mean, I used to sort of treat myself every now and again, use some Westflex 103. And if you were feeling really mean, you'd go to Moonraker and buy their RG, what was it called? 213, that's right. The trouble is, if you bought the matching connectors, by the end of the night, normally on a Saturday, isn't it? And I got blood all over my fingers trying to get those connectors on. But and the trouble is, there's a steep curve between kind of what I call really crappy RG213 up to the next level, where it would actually make a difference to you, in a domestic dwelling or situation. But I'm into, the trouble is, to get to the top of this tower is 100 meters. So now, lucky for me, because I've spent enough time faffing around on the internet and showing people products and my own products and everything else, I can get away with saying to Stefano, I want to make a series of videos doing this, that, and the other. Have you got, can you give me a deal on some coax? And Stefano will say, well, if you're doing it that, I'll just send you some, mate, So, but unfortunately, that was 3 months ago, and I think he's forgotten. So I'll have to send him an email going, "Hey, Stefano, how are you?" And he'll probably go, "Oh, shit, I forgot that." So I want a 100-meter run of his Hyperflex Berry Flex thing, literally from the back of the 9700, literally to the top of that tower, with no brakes, joins, nothing. Mm-hmm. Now, my friend Mike, 0MSN, he's normally bribable just with a bar of chocolate, frankly, or a coffee. He'll help me pull a couple of these through. One for the 2 and 70, and one my new main transmit line to the Genius 8x2. But the fun and games comes for next week when we try and fire 2 matching stations up. Both have got to be remote controllable. So I could have Rowley in New Zealand on station 2, and I could be on station 1, both from home. Right? That'd be amazing. And wouldn't it be fun to be able to live stream independently both as well? So I think there's a couple of firsts in there, which might be fun. How long have I done? Bloody hell, that's half an hour. Bye. All right, then. Can we stop this recording now? Thank you very much. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. No, you don't need to stop recording. I'm pulling your leg, Nigel.
Don't
I
worry,
think we should take. People might have to. May have some questions. I don't know.
Are you still playing the drums, Callum?
Yes, no. I am a drummer, but I'm not. They're stacked up at the moment in the side of the shack down at the factory. They will be going back here. I removed them from here because our settee was going, well, the bed went there for a while, not my bed, but a bed, because we were decorating, and then a settee was going there because Emily's moving out. She wanted the settee, and our new one was. A long story short, I never turned out ever needed to move them. So I'll bring them back soon. And then John, my guitarist, we're going to get back together and find a bass player and a singer. So, because I can't sing, right? I've got a beautiful voice, but I can't sing. I don't know. I'd probably sing like Donald Trump, maybe, but I couldn't sing like a singer.
Go on, Tom. I'm sure you've got a few questions.
Not really, actually. I mean, basically, we tend to use quite a bit of Heliax. We've got some of that sort of low loss Heliax.
But the 10 mil, same size as the 213, but in Heliax.
It's actually a bit heavier than that. Actually, a bit thicker. In fact, I was
450 maybe.
Yeah. We 12, tend to buy it secondhand. I haven't seen much new stuff around. We tended to get secondhand bits. You know,
I got a brand new. It must be 30 kilos, brand new LDF 450, and one of the reasons I'm really pleased the landlord hasn't carved up the. Oh, here we go. Yeah, the landlord hasn't concreted that up. I was going to get a working party together.
Yeah.
And rather than trying to pull that LDF 450 through the conduit, is just when on a Sunday when John's not there, my site manager, I get on with really well. If I say, look, John, you'll never know. I'm going to dig this up, put it back, and you'll never know. Is that all right? And he'll probably say, as long as I don't know, that's fine. I was going to manually dig that up about 9 inches, a little bit of sand, 450, this solid copper jacket, isn't it? Another bit of sand, and then hammer it all back down, and then and that way I don't have.
The only thing I'd say about the Heliax is one of the problems with the station we've got is we have to take it down and put it together a lot, and in actual fact, none of the connectors actually really stand up. If you have to do that a lot, in fact, it doesn't matter whether it's you know there is a lot of problems with the various types of connectors, and we use N types on our Heliax type. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right, and basically one of the difficulties is when you actually have a mixture of connectors. You always run into incompatibility things, and you've got to put in adapters and stuff like that, and that.
It's a big. Tom, I've got to interrupt here.
Yeah,
there's a big station in the US, HF station, that swapped all their N types to high quality PL 259s. They ended up with 90% less problems and no difference in performance at all.
Right, that's interesting.
It was Jim Heath, W6LG. He bought some knockoff N types, and the losses were greater than the cheap PL 259s.
My God, right? The only thing
unless you're buying Andrews N type, and it's for above 70 centimeters. I would never bother with it.
Right. The only caveat I've got about PL259 type connectors is if people are careless about the way they solder them up on the ends. If you actually end up with PL259s and there's been a blob of solder left on the end where the solder joints made right at the end, when people put that into the socket, the equivalent socket, eventually it tends to splay the sockets out. And you get
because you're very old, Tom.
Well, you're
maybe
right.
a couple
Yeah.
of years older than me. I am 66. I can't use that one anymore.
Well, I'm
But,
81.
Yeah, okay. So over the last 20 years, I think SSB Electronics started it. Messi and Poloni kind of finished it. Is they took effectively an N-type and then put a PL259 insert into it. So you've got all the waterproofing of exactly how an N-type would fit. And some of the Messi and Poloni ones, you put the end of the coax into the pin, and the pin is sealed up, but in the factory, it's just solid, and you just got a tiny hole. You got a tiny hole to stop that. Now, I made a video about this once, and I completely screwed it up. I can actually do it much better now, but so I agree with you. Like the old, 10 for a pound flea market PL259s were utter shit. I mean, it was, it kind of worked, didn't it? But my God, nobody knew whether to fill up the holes at the side with solder or not.
Correct.
They didn't know whether to peel them back and screw it on. But the latest version of the PL259, either Messi and Poloni or SSB Electronics, is like, I mean, they're £7 or £8 each. Yeah,
I've seen a few of them around. Yes.
Top banana, Tom. Top banana.
Yeah, I know, but there's no question about it. Actually, I mean, that, as I say, I like having lots of PL259s because basically everything is standardized on that type of fitting. But in fact, as I say, the danger is, in fact, if you find that people have been careless about the way they solder the end in them and stuff, and anyway.
So do you guys still do? Like once a year, you get out and do a field day and stuff, or what?
Oh, we do probably getting just under 10 contests a year. I mean, like at the end of the month now, we'll be doing at the end of March. Now we're doing the CQ Worldwide SSB.
Okay.
The weekend job. In fact, I don't know if the boys told you beforehand. But in actual fact, we had a bit of a disaster in November. In fact, we
wasn't going to mention it, Tom.
Well, I thought it might as well come clean and say we actually have got two big Strumex masts that by the time we've got all the shit on the top of them, they're up about 80 feet actually. And we've got things like huge monobanders, 20-meter monobanders and 15 monobanders, and basically they're on the top of the Strumex.
Yeah.
And in actual fact, we had a gale up on the top of the peaks. We're up at near the Goit up there.
It sounds like an angle grinder.
And it's exactly what it is. It's an angle grinder job. That's the most useful thing. We came, got a phone call from the farmer. You'd better come up. In fact, your aerials are a bloody mess lying underneath lying beside the trailer mast. Yeah. And our big 80 feet job, it was down, broken in the middle, and bent out of all shape.
What went? Was it the guy points?
No, funnily enough, this is a personal thing. I don't think there's any agreement in our group about it. But I think, in fact, we had a very heavy 20-meter monobander on the top. And in actual fact, it was on a pole, and there was another thing above it. And it's a bit like waving a big hammer above your head with a big head on it. And basically, I think there was an oscillation started in the mast.
Right. How many guys do you have on 80 feet?
We actually have I'm just counting. She's actually guide on 4 spots, but the last section that goes up on the Strumex is the narrowest one.
That's right.
And obviously, and I think that one went fished.
Okay.
And you can imagine it starting an oscillation in the mast.
Yeah. Once the top goes, there's a bending force, isn't there? This is kind of what happened with my 80-footer. You're right. I mean, you need to go it halfway down each section as well,
Well, to be quite honest, in fact, I think my personal view is we had too much metal work on the top of the mast.
Yeah,
but it's difficult to persuade some of the other members in the group that is anything in that.
Well, I had this a good conversation, Tom. Keep
Pardon?
going.
It was somebody.
Sorry, no, it was up on the top of the exposed moors, and that little bit of a breeze was what was it called? Bert.
Oh, that's right. It was in Hurricane Bert. Actually, I must admit. In fact, Callum, basically, we didn't stand much chance.
No.
But,
Okay.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
I was disappointed actually when it went. We've had gales up there before, and it's
Yeah.
not come down. But this time, I think it is really strong.
There's yeah, something. Yeah. Okay. So if all the guys held, then
Yes.
So you put a lot of downward pressure
Yep.
this way,
Yeah.
then and you start waggling the top. You're absolutely.
Yep.
I think you're right, Tom. The top of the Strumac
Yep.
is thinner, smaller,
Very.
and if that started to give,
Correct.
then then
the whole thing just buckled sideways. It
That's
went about.
right. It'll. That's what mine did. All like the guys were all intact.
Yeah, absolutely the same as us.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really it was weird.
Well, now you'll like this, Tom. So what we had was, it was a 5-section heavy duty Strumac on a tower, on a trailer, and I borrowed it.
Yeah.
And we put just an A3S, you know, the Cushcraft Tribander, 2015.
Yeah.
We had a 20-foot aluminium pole, and halfway up it we put the A3S. Right at the bottom, I put 4 DX Commanders and 10-meter poles, and we had a 40-meter 2-element. But that had to follow where 20 went because they were both together, you know.
All on the same.
And then I put another 20-foot in fiberglass, and at the very, very top, I put a Yaesu rotator bearing,
oh
a
my
big
God,
piece of plastic, 2 coaxes, and we had 80 meters either for South America or 80 meters for North America as a dipole.
Oh my God! Right? Yeah.
But
well,
so we had, and then you've got all the bloody coax. You got to come down.
Yes.
And then I thought it was that point. Then I thought, I used to have more fun with a bloody fan dipole at 12 meters.
I was going to say, when you get a lot of metal and a lot of stuff up in the air like that, you've got a lot of possibility of, I call it very low frequency resonance in the system. That is the problem. It can start to wag around. Yeah, that's right. And if there's any slack in any of the system, maybe even on the way how the Strumex slots inside, one piece goes inside the other.
Oh, I know.
And basically they could start moving against each other.
Yeah.
So I think we learned some lessons actually. I've been advocating that we don't put as much metal up in the air actually on the top of the thing.
I think Ian had his hand up a while. Ian, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah. Good evening, Callum. I have
Good day,
2
sir.
antennas. I have a Rapide for my garden in Manchester, and I use a DX Commander Expedition when I'm at work in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Just one question: do you still have any of the original DX Commander Expedition poles in stock? Because I broke the top on mine.
So Lockie will do you a deal for a replacement.
Right.
You don't have to pay full price. Just tell him your problem, and you'll come up
fail.
with a deal.
It was a genuine accident. It got
No. I don't really. Honestly, it doesn't matter how you broke it. Whether you just got drunk one night and broke it in half, I don't care. We've got the profit off you once. I don't need it again. So we do. It's not quite half price, but it's near that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's fine.
Can I ask you 3 questions, Callum, if you don't mind, please?
Sorry, 1 each, Simon.
There's a charge for the 2 others. Deep in the DX Commander bunker, are there any new products coming out?
Yes. I've just finished mowing the field and doing all this. So when I launch my new product, everything will look pretty, right? And then when I launched the 12.4, one of the American YouTubers, he actually said, "You have just won ham radio," because the video was that good. I've won it, right? So this is the venture, okay? So and I don't know M0RNH. I don't know your name.
Ian.
So Ian's got a Rapide. So Ian and Simon, take a 7-meter pole. What I thought is where is the cost and all these things? Well, there's the aluminium and the plastic and the amount of bits and pieces. So if we chop it right back, how cheap could I get this to the customer so they can buy a second DX Commander and sling it in the boot? Or if you're in America, it'd be the trunk. So I came up with a 3-element system. There's very little material, but it all works. It's a small ground plate, a small driven plate, and it looks really, really cool. I've got the I can show you the drawings because it just looks fantastic. I spent quite a while with the guy who does all our drawings. Is a fellow called Tyler, KT7 something. Tyler, I'm sorry, I can never remember your bloody name. That'll be on my Google Drive. But anyway, and it's all the speed slots. So you get a pre-formed coil thing. You just wind a coil, a couple of cable ties, that'll be 40. And that with the ATU will give you 10 as well. And then you can get 20 and 15 or 17 or something. And it should be, if an expedition Rowley says that it genuinely takes him 7 minutes to put up. Now, I don't know. I think I could do it in 10 maybe, but shared with me. Drawings. This should be literally 5 minutes. Here we go. Hopefully you can see this. So we've got.
Oh no way.
That's a 2mm ground plate. That's the driven plate. Then we've got a guy plate. It doesn't need to be a guy plate because you should be able to stand it like on a patio stand or against a tree or something. So most of the time, then we've got a spreader that looks like this with a little speed slot. So you just go click, and then a tiny little top spreader as well for 20 meters and 17 and 15. Really, so so they look there, and they're really nice to hold because they're like spinners. If you can see this, I don't know. Yeah, I think you can. So that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. So I'll be building that next week, just to as a show and tell on a video, and we'll launch that because I was trying to save. So as a manufacturer, every pound I spend might cost you £3 by the time it's all factored in. So if I could save pennies here, and pounds there, material costs and everything else, you'd be surprised how much I can reduce the price by. And that was the idea of this. And people go, oh, if people say, oh, I want 6 bands or I want, full size 40 meters, well, you have to buy an Expedition. But they will get a little tube thing. It's really nice. I've sourced to put 40 meters on. This is a project that I did and proved that if you get a 1-inch, or I think it comes in 28mm tube, plumbing tube, about 2 or 3 feet long, and I will specify exactly where, and wind a coil, it's like 45 turns or something, and it goes right at the top of the pole. You'll get a perfect tune on 20 and 40. 40 is about 2 S points lower than my full size one. So yeah, you'll get on 40. 2 S points is too much for me, right? But it might be all right for other people. So, but if I just single band it with a coil at about 1 meter high, then the ATU button actually will lock in 10 and 12, possibly 15, because you got, if you did 20 as well, you've got the combination of the two, and the ATU go, sod it, that's enough. I'll squirt some RF down there. It'll still it's only finding a match, you see. It still works. That's a great. So I get a lot of emails saying they draw their garden, and I've got my shed here and the fence line and this, that, and the other, and here's my garage. And I'm thinking of doing this. It might nothing to do with my product, but they're thinking, I want to put an end fed from here to here. And then they say, will it work? So Tom will like this one because he's an old boy. Everything works, right? It's how well do you want it to work?
Exactly.
One of the reasons you took 80 foot and a ton of metal up into the sky in a hurricane is because you knew that you would get a little bit more gain by going to all that extra effort, right? Had you used a hamstick on somebody's car, it would have still worked, right?
Oh, yes,
But
absolutely.
it was not what you're after, is it? Will it work? Rowley did an experiment. He used to teach ham radio at university or something, like, you know, on a Wednesday night or something. So what he did, he got a block of wood and he put a 6-inch nail through it. And I don't know what he used for a ground plane. But anyway, he wired it up with some balance line to a big fat tuner, shoved in a couple of 100 watts, and he made a contact on 10 meters.
Yeah.
Right. So now that will it work? Yeah, that will work too, you see. But it depends how. It's all about. It's where you want to go. I mean, I'm £3,500 a year into a field by an industrial park, just so the will it work factor. Well, I could have shown my products off. I appreciate that because I originally started showing it off in the garden here. But the you know, I want to develop a big quad, and that's a huge thing, you know. So but the reality is the difference between a hex beam and a quad at the same height is probably only about a dB.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, well, I want to know what that extra dB might do, you know. Because once you're into the, let's face it, a G5 RV will catch 80% of what's out there. All right. So every £1,000, dollars, or whatever else, just starts to increase it from 80% to 81, 82.
That's right.
83. Until the point where 100-foot, 2-element Yagi on 40 meters in the afternoon, I'm running a pile up on 40 to Indonesia. All right. And no one in the UK could hear these people. And I had emails telling me that I was making it up. But the will it work funk fit thing, 2-element Yagi at, you know, 4 times the height of we've all got our G5 RVs. Yeah, it really does bloody
exactly.
Work,
Can I roll my second question and third one together, Callum?
Well, I don't know. The next time, are you coming to the open day, Simon? 16th of August. You can buy me a pint, but go on. Hit it, brother.
If I come on that day, I'm expecting a birthday present.
Oh, here we go. Bribery.
Okay. Well, my birthday is on the 10th of February, but I'll accept a delayed one. Two Simons. Hang on a minute. I've got two. I've got M0TYY and M0TYY, both called Simon. One is a fellow. Oh, both got glasses. One's got grey hair and one's Kojak. Is that a problem with WebEx, or have you stolen his identity?
Kojak is Neil. He won't let me say that.
So
Neil, you have to rename yourself.
And my question was, Callum, I've been volunteered or voluntold. Would you fancy coming back on later in the year and doing another talk and showing off some of your products? And secondly, do you plan on making any smaller antennas or NFEDs for people who haven't got your real estate?
Oh, let's talk about the definition of real estate, right? Because my product will work quite adequately, you know, in the 80-20 rule with something at 4 meters by 4 meters. I'm about to prove it next week. I've proved it before. So, in fact, you don't even need that. You probably need about 3 by 3 or a corner of a garden and about 2.5 to 3 meters, radius. And just get some copper near the center.
Yeah.
So, I already do it. There we are. I already do it. NFEDs, transformers, all that stuff. There are other people who do that very well, who, make these shitty little bloody products. I mean, hello. I'm into 50 ohms, big amplifiers, SWR 1.5 to 1 or better.
Yeah.
Naturally. By the way, the only reason DX Commander exists is because I had an ACOM amplifier and a radio, and we went on holiday, and I didn't want all these tuners and stuff, and I didn't want to melt the balance and NFEDs and all that. I just wanted something. And there was only 3 antennas I could think of. The vertical, which would give me near enough 50 ohms. So I don't need an ATE for that. A dipole gives me near enough to 50 ohms. Or I could use a 4-to-1 balun and use a loop and go multi-band, right? A horizontal loop. So I'm left with really a dipole and a vertical. And we were down by the coast, and I put up a vertical. I'd never done it before. I was told, and I mean, when I joined ham radio about 20 years ago, verticals were out. Nobody used a vertical, right? Unless they were like stupid or something, or used it on a car. You didn't use a vertical in your house. Honestly, so I was taught from day one, you don't need to go down the road. They're noisy and all sorts, just everything. So I thought, last resort, I'm down on holiday, got 2 weeks, and I've literally taken a car full of stuff. We went in 2 cars. My car was full. It was like a bloody science project. Amplifiers and switches and coax and all soldering irons and tools and everything else. I got 2 weeks to just muck around with antennas by the coast. I put up this vertical, and I started. It must be about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Full power, I didn't hang around those days, and worked on a single vertical. Worked the whole of the US. It went longer and longer and longer. And then I think at 5 in the morning, I was starting to get New Zealand, Australia, and I worked the world in like 12 hours. It was way over 500 contacts. And I thought, this seems to work. And then the next night, I thought, what would happen if I put, that was 40 meters, if I put another 20 meter up by it? Because I didn't have a coax switch or something, And I've got a perfect tune on both. And that's what started this whole thing off. And I had 4 radials. 4.
Yeah. No, it's funny actually. It's funny how aerials come and go out of fashion, though, because basically, I mean, I think most of us start off on dipoles. We get our license, and the first thing you put up is a simple dipole, and then somebody tells you if you buy a G5RV, it makes life nice and easy. If you've got 100 watt, if you've got 100 watt ATU. Type of thing, and then eventually people graduate maybe onto a vertical, like a 40 meter vertical. It's nice and easy to do that with a glass fiber pole, and or you can buy a multi-band hustler. Funnily enough, we've used these actually in competitions, and we're going to be forced to use one at one of the. We've got our Strubex Master.
No, you can't do that. I'll send you a DX Commander.
Right.
Can I use a bloody hustler? No.
Sorry about that. I shouldn't have mentioned the name.
If you can guarantee me 20 subs to my YouTube channel, you'll get a free DX Commander.
I'll tell the lads. I'll tell you what. I'll tell the lads that when we're up at the farm.
I've got 2 12.4s that are pre-built, just sitting on the fence. Somebody needs to dismantle it all. But anyway, I've got I've got a classic knocking around as well. It's just sitting there. I'll never use it again.
Speaking of,
but anyway,
we've actually got. I've just been looking for a short video of the farm, and it's been sent to me. So I'm just going to try and share this. It might give you an idea of what we've got up there.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
one
more
of the
of
trailer
a
ma-
used to in the past video, isn't it?
Yeah. So that one there.
You're up at 1,000 feet there. You can tell.
Yeah, we are 1,200 feet.
1,200 is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
that was the burrow.
I just saw the angle iron then.
I'll bring that back up if I can.
Yeah.
That was the
I mean,
scrap. That's before the
Oh,
scrap
I'd have had a good
merchant
day
got
out
there.
there. Generator, toys. Yeah, lovely. Zoom. Bollocks.
Yeah. That really makes me feel very sad when I look at that.
Yeah, I know.
It's taken me a
Mate,
while to
I
find the
haven't.
photograph, I'm afraid, but there you go.
Yeah,
That was
I haven't,
terrible,
I haven't
that
broken
Nigel.
I haven't broken a Strumac, but I've probably broken almost everything else.
You've
All right,
repaired the
okay.
aerials, though, haven't you, Tom? Tom, you've repaired the aerials, haven't you?
Well, I didn't repair them. Peter and the rest of the boys did actually. But the answer there is we've managed to recover most of the heavy heavy metal from high up. Yeah, the monobanders we've managed to recover. Yep.
Yeah.
So
but not. I mean, you've repaired the mast. Well, you've got a new mast, haven't you? So
we actually, you might have known him actually, Steve. What was his
Gilbert.
second name?
G308.
Steve Gilbert. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Steve Gilbert's Strumex.
Yeah, he passed away a couple of years ago, didn't he?
He did. Yes, that's right. Yeah, we got it
Yeah.
second hand.
But all good stuff. But yeah, so that's the situation. Where the site is up on was it in Macclesfield, just on the foothills of the Peak District, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's right beside the Goit Valley. It's just no distance from it. And I can never remember the names of the actual hills that's there. Nigel, can you recall?
I wouldn't
them?
have a blooming clue, Tom. I
Near,
wouldn't have a clue.
near, Shining Tor is the highest point that it's near. Or the Cat
Right.
and Fiddle. You might know the Cat and Fiddle.
The cat and fiddle. We're right across from the cat and fiddle. I would say we're about the same height as the cat. Yeah.
The thing is about going, I call them away weekends. If you can, we've got 1,000 feet. We've got the Clee Hills around here, and there's a few other things. Oh no, that's 1,500 feet, Clee Hills, and
right.
I've got a big towable generator, which was enough to run the ACOM and everything. Or we can do 12 volts, if you know what I mean. And we went up there with a generator once and put all the toys up. And the fun of just being away from everything is something a little bit different. Funny enough, it was so high that I had my TS2000 and I'm on PMR 446 frequencies having a little listen around. I heard this guy and I spoke to him. He was in Norfolk, genuinely on a walkie-talkie.
Right.
Probably a Bofang or something at 5 watts or something. But I could hear him all, from near Wales all the way from Norfolk because we were so high.
You're so high up. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And he said, I recognise that voice. Are you the DX commander? I went, yeah, it's us. I watched your videos. Bumping into someone on PMR 446.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of fun. Guys, I'm done here. If you're done, and I've had a lot of fun.
One more question. I've got a question for you, if that's all right, Callum.
Stephen, M0RDN, take it away. You're live on the Callum Show.
Right. I've only been in the hobby like 3 years, and I do pretty well when it comes to contesting, 100-watt contesting. I did all right when it came to the last contest. Well, I use a homemade Rubikov, 12.5 meter Rubikov. Sell me a DX Commander. Sell me the advantages.
Go on, Ethan.
Just want to know the advantages.
So I don't know what you're using. I've never heard of it before. So the only reason,
it's basically,
as I said earlier on,
it's basically I think it's a 4-to-1 unun and 12 meters of wire straight up.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So you'll get different patterns on different wavelengths. So on the higher frequencies, for instance, it works well. I would tell you why I like my own product, and I'm one of the few. I think I'm the only man. I think the OptiBeam man actually uses his as well. is that for years I used to live stream on a Friday morning, with my vertical, and I surprised myself, Stephen. On 10 meters, I remember on AM one early afternoon, there was a guy in America going, "Go try AM on 29.2, whatever it is." And I didn't know how to set my radio up. I got it going in the end, and that worked. So I like a DX Commander because you're getting a quarter wave pattern on every band, instant band changes. So if you want to run Whisper or something, you'll if it's set up right, you'll get better than 1.5 to 1 everywhere. You can run Whisper, FT8, you can band hop, because you got to remember, it's a lot of old timers. And in fact, I'm surprised. Where's he gone? Who's the old fella? Is it Tom? I've forgotten his name. There we are,
yeah.
Tom, I remember my first 2 weeks in the hobby. Some old guy butted in on me on 2 meters. "I'll tell you the antenna you want. It's a doublet, mate. Doublet. You got a doublet. You need a doublet." Right? And so a doublet's great, right? Because it's just 2 bits of wire, isn't it? Some 450 ohm or whatever ladder line. Then you got another £1,000 to spend on a big fat tuner. And then if somebody says, "Oh, that's good, I'll meet you on 40," you've got to look up a chart and go, "What the hell how did I get to 40? I can't remember."
Oh God,
and you got to
right,
turn all your induction and everything. And, whoa, you got all this. So the thing is with DX Commander, 95% of the people who put one up just follow the instructions. They just get a perfect tune on every band, and it just works.
That's what you want.
And if you only guy it at one point, and stop worrying yourself with the wind, because people keep guying it all the way up, and then eventually the top will snap because it's got nowhere to go, So, and there we are. And then it just, and there's no traps, there's no unknowns.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a picture of a 4-to-1 balun that we oversaturated on 160 on a big loop. I didn't know, but Terry was doing CW. I lent him my amplifier and went down to the scout hut to see how he was getting on. And he was full QR. What's the full break-in mode?
QSK.
Is it that do? So when he's going do, the relays are going.
Yeah,
okay. 15, maybe 1600 watts. This vacuum relays, in fairness, but even so, they were smashing down. The thing was nearly it wasn't lifting off the shelf, but I couldn't believe it. But anyway, he phoned me. He said, "Oh, I've lost 160." So next week we took this big loop down, and it smells funny. Took the lid off. This balun was literally, it looked like it had been fried, with a steak.
Yeah.
I think, Tom, that's oversaturation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I don't think it was designed for that. But anyway, Stephen wanted to know about a DX Commander. I mean, they're not terribly expensive. They're very well quality. The wire's fantastic. Everything, particularly the Signature series, I know they're about another £100, but the poles themselves are very expensive for me. So I can't do much about it. But a Signature 9, if I'd had my time again, then I'd probably have 3 runs of coax out into the garden, a Signature 9 and a corner, probably a 4-to-1 balun running a little loop fairly low down from a 40-meter daytime. And if I had a 2 VFO radio, I'd plumb that into my right ear as well, just to give me that right stereo effect. Well, that's all I need, to be honest. Something like that. Who wanted sold to? Can't see him now. He's gone.
He's probably done a run. He's probably online buying one as we speak.
No, I'm still here.
I'm
still here.
Right, I'm going to have my steak and eggs now, boys.
Very good. Well,
Okay.
thank you very much indeed, Callum. That was brilliant.
Has this been the best talk you've ever had? Or
absolutely. Of course it is. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed.
Hey, listen, Callum. Are you going up to Narsha this year?
I'm going nowhere, mate.
No,
I don't travel well.
You don't travel.
I go to Honolulu, which is 6 miles away. That's why I've got my own event.
But you
by the way,
mentioned your open day, didn't you? You mentioned your open day, didn't you?
Yes. So
That's
not
August,
on
which
your
is the
website.
8th month, 2 8s are 16. 16th of August. It's a Saturday.
16th. Right.
And
August.
it's
Get
not
a
on your
lift, Tom.
website yet.
Where is it
Right.
you're based?
Not on the website yet. It'll be at Holly Farm.
Where's
Right.
the
Be at
Holly
Holly
Keep an
Farm.
eye out for
It'll
you.
be
Keep
all
an
over
eye
the
out for you.
internet nearer the time. 16th.
Right.
On the link.
of
Right.
August. We had about 200 people last year.
Yeah.
It
Excellent.
was
Oh
a
my
real
God, right.
family atmosphere, to be honest. It was a really
Right. Excellent.
real nice. It wasn't like a Newark. It wasn't like a big hamfest. Right? It was a real.
Right.
People were there because they wanted to be there. There was there was deals like Lockie and Gina were doing 20% off and all that, but that wasn't the purpose. Purpose was for
Yeah.
people just to come and relax and have a couple
And
of
have a
hours.
chat. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kenilworth.
Yeah.
And there was
Oh.
people who hadn't met, their friends for years. It was just lovely. These little huddles going on all over the place.
Yeah.
We had the
Right.
RSGB there. We had David Johnson, G4DPZ. He was doing a little satellite demo as it happens. But he was so
Right.
busy chatting, I don't think he ever fired the equipment on, Just having gear there, was good enough. Yeah.
Oh.
And and it's the summer, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully the sun will come out.
That's
Right. If not, we'd be umbrellas, mate, and
I was
shorts.
going to say it's Kenilworth, isn't it?
No, it's Honolulu.
It's not far from Kenilworth, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Honolulu.
every time I've ever played cricket, I used to live in the Midlands, and I used to play cricket against Kenilworth quite a lot. So it's always been nice when I was there. So
Yeah. But anyway, you want your steak and eggs. So I will say thank you very much again indeed, Callum. That was very interesting indeed. You can see all the flaps and all that kind of thing around. So you nicely ducked Neil's question about another station later in the year. So perhaps we'll stay in touch anyway. And no doubt if we're at your open day, we'll.
Hang on a minute, quickly, Neil. What was the last question?
You're muted.
You're on mute. You
Neil.
are on mute.
You're on mute, Neil.
You're muted.
Mute.
Neil.
He knows it.
Mute.
I was voluntold that, not volunteer. Would you possibly do another talk, maybe show some of your products off later in the year for us as a pretty please?
We'll be in touch.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make a little video, DX Commander in 2025, which will be probably about 15 meters long. 15 meters long. God, 15 minutes long. And then I can come on, we can chat about it, we can play the video, and then we can more, something like that.
That sounds
more than 18
good,
participants. Otherwise, I'll charge you £10 for every participant you've got less than 20.
Whoa. Right.
Well, there's a challenge.
If it's 17, it'll cost you 30 quid. 18 costs you £20. So you need two more participants to be free, look.
Hey,
I'm putting it there.
Coming off Evan's head.
Hey, Callum, we did well tonight. We've got 18, including yourself.
We had 19 at one time. So
we did actually. That's right. So that would have been 18, including yourself. That wasn't bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then your bottle of whiskey, Callum.
Lovely. I think what I need is I'll actually look through all my photographs and see. We could do that, and all the since Tom's been really good, and Nigel about explaining about your disaster. I think I should show you my disasters as well. Trouble is, I've only got 2 or 3. But anyway, all the failed experiments. All my Callum's failed experiments.
Is this
I make a good video of that. Right, I've got to bugger off tonight. I'll see you soon, all right?
Yeah, no worries. Nice
Thanks
to see
very
you.
much, Callum.
Thank you very much, Callum.
We'll see you
You would
around.
have had the
Thank you.
you would have had the better camera tonight, but I couldn't get it working. See you on this little thing.
Cheers.
All right, bye for now.
Take care, all. Yeah.
Bye now. Bye.
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 Cheers.
Bye.